Welcome to The Explainer. You know, we love taking those tricky, complicated subjects and, well, making them simple. So let's just dive right in.
Okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever just stared at a word and thought, why is it spelled like that? I mean, bird, herd, and nerd, they all rhyme, right? But look at them, they look totally different. It feels kind of random, almost like it's designed to trip us up. But what if I told you there's a hidden rule, a secret code that actually explains all of this?
All right, so to crack this code, we're going to have to do a little detective work. Let's start with our first piece of evidence. It looks like a super simple, everyday document, but it's holding our first major clue.
So check this out. It's an accident report form. Now zoom in on the names. We've got the patient, Dirk Thurber, and his address is on Redbird Lane. Listen to that again. Dirk Thurber, Redbird. See? It's the exact same sound, but spelled 3 different ways. That, my friends, is our mystery.
So, what in the world is going on here? It's time to unmask the culprit behind all this confusion. And to do that, we've got to break down the evidence we just found.
Okay, when you break a word like Dirk down into its individual sounds, you get d, k. You notice something kind of weird. That letter E, it's like it just vanishes. One expert put it perfectly. The E doesn't really have its own sound here. All you really hear is the R. It all comes down to the letter R. In Dirk, that combo makes that single sound.
And then in Thurber, look at that. It's the UR making the exact same sound.
And you guessed it, in Redbird, the IR does it again. Are you seeing the pattern here? The R is so powerful, it literally bosses the vowel around and just takes over its sound completely. And guess what? This whole thing actually has a name. It's called an R-colored vowel, and that is our culprit. See, whenever a vowel is followed by an R, that R basically colors the vowel's sound. So it's not a long vowel, it's not a short vowel, it's an R-controlled vowel. This is the secret to our whole rhyming mystery.
Okay, so now that we've unmasked the R-colored vowel, let's take a look at this whole bossy R rule and see just how much power it really has.
You know, this bossy R doesn't just mess with E, I, and U. Oh no, it bullies other vowels too. Just think about the word form. That OR creates that distinctive OR sound. Or how about car, where AR gives you that R sound? The R is just consistently taking control, creating these unique but totally predictable sounds.
All right, let's circle back to that tricky sound from our original case. Since it's one of the most common ones, how are you supposed to know which spelling to use when you're writing?
Well, thankfully, it's not a total free-for-all. There are some really clear patterns. The most common ways to spell that sound are ER, IR, and UR, like you see in term, stir, and hurt. Now, there is a less common one, EAR, that you'll hear in words like earth, search, and of course, heard. Just knowing these few patterns is a massive shortcut to getting a handle on English spelling.
So how can we actually use this stuff? Let's look at one of the most common suffixes in the entire English language, which, wouldn't you know it, features our R-colored vowel.
Yeah, it's the suffix. I mean, we see this thing everywhere, right? And it usually just means a person or thing that does something. So a person who teaches is a teacher. Someone who bakes is a baker. Simple enough? But adding this suffix comes with its own little spelling twist. So check this out. When you want to add that suffix to a word that already ends in a silent E, like, say, the word vote, you follow one simple rule. You drop that silent E before you add the suffix. So vote becomes voter, bake becomes baker. It's just another one of those simple rules that once you know it, makes spelling so much less of a headache. You know, we started with this really confusing puzzle of rhyming words that looked nothing alike. And what did we find? A fundamental rule of English. So what's the big takeaway from all this?
It really all comes down to one single powerful idea.
And that is that just one rule, the R-colored vowel rule, is the key that unlocks the spelling and the sound of literally thousands of words. All of a sudden, words like term, stir, hurt, form, and car, they aren't random anymore, are they? They all follow the exact same predictable logic.
So here's the big idea I want to leave you with. English isn't broken. It's really just a code, and it's full of patterns that you can absolutely learn. The bossy R is one of the most important keys to cracking that code. And now,
you have that key. The only question left is, what other secret codes are just hiding there in plain sight? Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.